Alright, hi guys. This tutorial is going to quickly walk you through how to create an assessment group. And I want to be clear, that's different than if you were, say, creating a group for like an after-school club or a sport or some other group of people that was a course that you wanted to set up. This is within a course, how do you group students for project assignments or assessments. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up that course that you want to work on. And I'm working on that practice course that I've created for us. And if we come down and we go to our members section, this is where we're going to be able to work on creating our groups. And you should see all of the people that would be in your course. At this point, I've only added one student, so let me add a second one just so we can see the difference. And I'll go ahead and I already talked to Delaney, so I'm going to add her as a second one. And when you see all of your students, they all start as members of the group. What you can do is you can group them out over here, organize your members into grading groups, is what Schoology calls them. And when you click on the Add Grading Group button, what that's going to do is let you create a group name. So I'll call this Reassess Unit 1, so that students who fail a test, let's say, need to get grouped in to a group where they get extra practice work or maybe a second version of the test to reassess on. So when you create that group, all you've got to do is select the students that you want. So let's say, Mr. Green here failed the Unit 1 test and he's got to get grouped into a reassessment group. When I click Create that grading group, you'll notice that under Mr. Green's name here is the group that he's assigned to. Because Ms. Brummel doesn't have any there, it signals to me that she has not been assigned into any groups. And I can make as many groups as I want to. And I can group students. So let's say Mr. Green also, Unit 2 Reassess Group. I can put as many groups as I want and put them in to as many groups as I want. Now, how is this powerful and how can it be used, right? This is the basic tutorial of how to create the group. So you've got that part. But let me give a little context to how it looks. So I'm going to jump into my 8th grade section. And I want to show you in the members area how I've started building my groups. And obviously I don't have students yet, so I've just been setting them up with samples to get my groups created until I have my actual student roster built in. But like I told you, I plan on doing reassess groups so that if a student doesn't meet mastery in a particular unit or section of my course, they go into a group that then lets me assign to them specific tasks for them. So in this one, right, I've put Mr. Green in my Stage 1 Level 1 Reassess group. And here's what that would look like as far as like coursework. In my materials, in my Stage 1 Level 1 work, that's just how I label my units, right? There is an assessment, right, that everyone gets, okay? But if they fail that assessment, then I manually group them into this reassessment group where they then get an extra assignment or learning to help them reassess. And it might be individual time with me. I can build this to be whatever reteaching material I want it to be, but it's only going to go to the Mr. Green. So if I look at this as my Mr. Green here, I don't know if I have him set up where he's there yet or not, but let me see if it works here. But in Stage 1 Level 1, because I had told him that he did not pass, right, he got grouped in here and he sees that page. The other students would not see that page. They would pass the assessment and get to move on to the next level of my unit, of my course. So that's one way that you can use groups. Now, without showing you everything that I have set up, other ways that you can do this is to group your ELL or your special ed kids, your 504 kids. One thing that I have learned is it's going to be easier if you're doing a lot of regrouping and you're going to start having kids get like the main course of content where other kids branch off, is to make yourself a primary group that then everyone really gets put into if they're not in one of these other groups. So don't assume that it's going to default back to a group of everyone, because everyone, if you assign an assignment to everyone, it's going to go to everyone. But if you want it to only go to people that are not grouped in, say, your special ed or your ELL, then you're going to want to group them together too. So you might have to make that group. That's what I'll be doing. So I'll have my primary content group, and then I'll have my ELL, my special education, and how do am I going to import and use those? Well, again, if I jump back to my materials real quick, when I'm working in my units or my chapters or my stages, call them whatever you want. But when I'm in there, because it makes it real easy when you create an assessment, and I'll show this in a different tutorial, when you create your basic assessment in Schoology, it's pretty easy to make a copy of that assessment and then make changes to it. So without opening each of these assessments up, understand that this is the assessment that gets assigned to my primary group of students. Okay, that's what that's telling me if I went into the details. This is my assignment that gets assigned to, say, my ELL group of students. So it's got more language support built in. It's got simplified wording and questions. It might have more pictures involved as opposed to straight text-based assessments. This is the assessment that would only go to my 504, my special ed kids. So it might have less choices. It might have increased graphics. It might have voice directions built into questions. Again, it's modifications built directly for that group. This is the one then that would be my reassessment. So if a student failed the level 1 assessment, they did the reteaching practice, this would get assigned back to them as a version of the assessment that's not the same questions. It's a second copy, right? So they're getting assessed on the same content, but not with the same one that they've already seen and had access to. So this is a simple way. Yes, it's more work up front, absolutely. But when we start personalizing this digital learning, now that I have this built, this is done for all 250 of my kids that I'll see over the course of this year and the next year as 8th graders. So it lets me really personalize. And again, that comes from the members and creating grade groups. If you have any questions or want to help getting this set up, please let me know and I'll be happy to reach out. Thanks, guys.